The key is, you know how like in a horror movie, when the hero kills the villain at the end of the movie?
Yes.
Right? The monster always gets back up because the hero forgets to finish him off with the double tap, all right? This is where we're at right now. We've knocked the monster down. We need to finish it off. We need to come out strong and make sure it's game over for Democrats. My name is Blake, but most people know me as Brick Suit now, as obvious reasons. So I'm here in town for the rally on Friday. I was at Phoenix yesterday. I'm going to miss the one in Colorado, so it's not a triple crown, but it is a double header.
Get to spend the day in beautiful Las Vegas today.
You know, and it's not just that. I'm going to be in Vegas tonight. I'll be wearing this out on the Strip, and then I'm going to go to the rally on Friday, which is at 12, so that's going to get out early. Then I'm going to spend the night. Then I'm going to have all day Saturday just walking around in the get-up, going through Fremont Experience. And then I'm going to go to NASCAR for the party, and then I leave and go through LA. I'm going to go to Hollywood Walk of Fame and, you know, go visit
in
the
your
Star.
full brick suit?
In the full brick suit, of
Awesome.
course, absolutely. So I figure by the time I get home to San Diego, I don't even know the thousands of eyeballs and impressions of pro-Trump that I'll be able to make here in Las Vegas before I get back to San Diego.
So
it's gonna be awesome.
So you're from California.
I'm from California.
Do you ever worry about your safety supporting President Trump out there?
San Diego is actually a fairly conservative town. There are, of course, leftists everywhere. But in San Diego, no. And honestly, a lot of the press that you see for people who wear hats out in public is you only see the negative examples. And that's what I thought was going to happen. And I started wearing my hat in public in basically January of last year in response to a lot of people being deplatformed, a lot of conservative people being taken off of Facebook, getting demonetized by YouTube, being banned by Twitter. So I was like, well, if you're not going to give us free speech on the internet, I'm just going to make memes and bring them into real life and support the president in real life. So I started wearing my hat every Saturday. And, you know, I bought into that fear that the media has been inculcating to people that Trump supporters are going to be assaulted in public, that it's somehow okay to do that you need to, as Maxine Waters said, get in their face and push back against them. And it was quite the opposite. The first night I wore my hat out, I think I went to a cheesecake factory. I ended up in a cheesecake factory at a mall, this couple next to me bought my dinner. And I'm like, wait a minute, I've been lied to, you know? And it wasn't just because I got a free dinner and a free cheesecake, you know, but the stealth positives are they're way outnumber the negatives. So to answer your question, in San Diego, no. Now, if I went to LA or Los Angeles, I would fear for my safety, but that's only because of the typhus that's endemic, because of all the crap that's on the streets. So it would be a different story in Hollywood or San Francisco or parts of LA. California is a very blue state in terms of aggregate population, but it's only because of those cities. When you get outside the cities, in the rural areas, it's much more Republican.
Yeah, one more California question.
Sure.
What do you think of the job that Gavin Newsom's doing so far? I just seen in the news that San Francisco Mayor London Breed just got busted in a corruption scandal.
Yeah.
That they were supposed to be giving money to the homelessness, and she was taking bribes that was supposed to be going to the thousands of homeless that you see on the streets.
So
of
are
San
you saying that a democratic establishment in a major American city is corrupt? Is that what you're telling me? I may fall over in shock. No, I mean, they've been getting away with so much graft and lining their pockets for so long and without opposition. So it doesn't surprise me because they probably feel emboldened and empowered to do that because of the lack of opposition. As for your question about what job Gavin Newsom is doing, he seems to be more concerned with safeguarding the rights of people who have ethnic hairstyles than he does about homeless veterans on the streets of his own state. So his priorities may be a little misguided there, in my opinion.
Absolutely. Look up #recall Gavin Newsom. Aaron Cruz is putting on a fantastic campaign to try and get Gavin Newsom recalled. Okay, we're here in front of Trump International Hotel, and you said that you just ran into Don Jr. inside there. What was that like?
It's pretty incredible. I booked the Phoenix rally first, then they announced the Las Vegas rally like a couple days after. And then I'm looking at hotels in Vegas, and I just said, forget it. I'll just stay at the Trump Hotel. I didn't know they were going to actually be here. So I got in late last night, or early this morning, after driving from Phoenix, right after the end of the rally. I'm just coming down for some breakfast. I get out of my elevator. I'm walking to the restaurant, and there's Don Jr. right there.
Wow.
So I just kind of said, "Hey, Don, how you doing?" And he gave me a wave. And he actually, when I'm wearing my jacket, he actually recognizes me because I've been to enough rallies now that he knows me as the brick guy.
Yeah, you told us actually President Trump has pulled you on stage before at a rally. Tell us about that.
That's kind of where this whole thing started for me. I was an undercover Trump supporter, and I told you I was wearing my hat out in San Diego, and I had a vacation that was booked to go into DC. So I'm flying through Dulles, and I didn't think the hat was going to be enough. I wanted to go the next step in trolling the leftists. So I'm like thinking about what issue pertaining to the campaign can I do that's easily recognizable, and I thought, well, about a wall suit. So I searched for wall suit, and a brick wall suit came up. And I said, oh, I gotta get that. So I ordered that just for the trip. I bought it just to go into an airport. It was not bought with the intention of wearing it to rallies. It was bought with the intention of trolling people in DC. And the day before I left San Diego to go on this vacation, the rally in Montoursville, Pennsylvania was announced, which was only 120 miles away from where I was staying on the last part of my vacation. And I'm like, well, I got the hat, I got the suit, I gotta go. So I camped out there overnight. I got there at midnight. I was the third person in line. There was a couple from Nebraska who was ahead of me. And I got front row, and then during the rally he called me up, and you know, I honestly, I can't even say what that was like because it was all autopilot. You know, it's like, I remember climbing over the barrier thinking, because they have a flag bunting, and I'm like, don't step on the flag when you climb over. And then I remember, don't trip, you know, don't fall. And then I don't consciously remember anything until I was coming off of the stage and just do a little fist pump. Everything else in between was pretty much, you know, autopilot, like I said. And if I hadn't seen it on YouTube, I watched it on YouTube, so my memories of that are colored by the fact that I watched it.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the reaction? There had to be news articles, everything.
Oh, it was insane. My brother called me and said, "You just shook hands with the president." I said, "I know." He said, "You put your hand on his shoulder." And I said, "No, I didn't. I just shook his hand." He said, "No, watch the YouTube clip. You put your hand on his shoulder." I'm like, "No way." So I did. Yeah, and I did.
Awesome.
I came up and I shook his hand like that. You know, like it was just like you'd shake hands with somebody you've known all your life. And you know, at that time I had no social media presence, and right now I'm still very limited. I just have a Twitter handle.
Well, what's your Twitter to plug it?
Twitter handle is @bricksuit with an underscore between it, so it's brick_suit.
Okay.
You know, so I was very hard to reach, but my brother had tagged me in a few Facebook posts, so media was able to reach him. I talked to a Fox and Friends producer, and then I did a remote from San Diego 2 days later.
Oh, fantastic.
So, you know, you go from meet the president 2 days later, your first ever national TV appearance on 4 hours of sleep. A little nervous, but it was pretty cool.
Right. We're just 9 months away from the election, and it's looking like crazy Bernie Sanders is the favorite for the Democratic nomination.
I still think it's going to be brokered convention.
Yeah, you still think Bloomberg might steal it?
It's not so much Bloomberg as I think Bernie's position is untenable, and I don't think that people like Klobuchar are going to back out soon enough, and they're just going to continue to siphon enough delegates away in the states that have proportional representation that aren't winner-take-all states. So, you know, I could see a very real possibility, and I don't think that the bulk of the Democrat Party, for, you know, what calls itself Democrats now, is ready to go full-on socialism with Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And they're in a rock and a hard place, because if Bernie doesn't get the election, if he gets robbed again, and Trump is already telling how they're going to rob, because he sees it coming. It's almost like he's got a time machine. You know, it's almost like he is a time traveler. If Bernie gets robbed again, like Hillary robbed him in 2016, and they don't get, you're going to see Democratic riots at their own convention, and you're going to see so many people who supported Bernie are not going to vote ticket because they are Bernie supporters.
Absolutely.
They are anarchists. They are communists. And this is what they want. They don't want They don't. And I have no problems with liberals. I have no problem with a classical liberal who might differ with a Republican or conservative viewpoint on a couple of issues. But the leftists on the far wing of the Democrat Party, I completely disagree with, and so do a large portion of the Democrats. And I think at that point, you'll see, if Bernie does get the election, if he is the candidate, I think that you'll see some Democrats who are centrist not vote for him. And if he doesn't get it, all the left support is not going to transfer over to Bloomberg or whoever it is. I don't think it's going to be Biden. I think he's going to be done after Super Tuesday.
Right.
He may hang until then, but I think that's it.
Right. A couple San Diego, you've seen the wall go up firsthand. What do you notice in your area and just overall the presence of the wall? Is it working?
Yeah, it is. And one thing I think that gets overlooked is, remember how those 8 prototype wall sections were built? Okay, like Trump said he was going to build the wall. So what does he do? He starts testing them. He builds 8 prototypes. The one that they're installing is not even one of those prototypes. This just shows how he can, go from solution A to solution B until he finds the right solution. So in San Diego, we have in some sections triple wall where they put new 30-foot fencing above. They've replaced all the old 8-foot, which is basically like aircraft plating, like sideways. So the border there is very effective, and I think it's not 100% effective. It was never meant to be. So when people criticize it as saying you can just climb over it, well, yeah, you can, but it reduces the ability for people to just run across. So I support barriers on the border because primarily to reduce the influx of illicit narcotics into the country.
Child trafficking.
Sex trafficking, human trafficking in general. I mean, it's going to cut down on all that. Is it going to reduce it? Is it going to eliminate it? No, but it is going to reduce it, and I feel the expenditure is worth it for the reduction that we're going to get.
Right. Obviously, the wall is one of your top issues. What else do you like that President Trump has been doing so far in his over 3 years in office now?
Well, I didn't vote for Trump in 2016. I was not even a registered voter and hadn't voted since 1984 when I cast my first ballot ever as a voter for Ronald Reagan. And although I wanted Trump to win badly in 2016, being in California, I knew that my vote didn't matter. I wanted Hillary to lose. I knew we'd be trouble with her. I was ecstatic that night, as were many people. But I still wasn't, at that point, I would characterize my viewpoint of like, it's probably not going to work. He's going to be ineffective. Excuse me. And that this will be the catalyst for people to look seriously at their political candidates and not go through this again. But then in that first section after he got elected, that first 6 months or so, Trans-Pacific Partnership, gone. Paris Climate Accord, out. Reducing taxes, Iran deal, canceled. So many, the hits just keep on coming. So when I saw that, I started paying attention, and then you had the deregulation of industry and right to try, and there's so many things, and that's when I got on board. Yeah. And so I was probably officially a supporter as of July 4th, 2017, or shortly thereafter, when CNN doxed the Reddit user who posted the original meme of the WWF with WWE.
Okay, yeah, with him,
so when CNN went after that guy, whose name I could say, but it is somewhat obscene, so I won't say it. When CNN went after that, that was the trick for me, because that was basically First Amendment, a privilege. I saw obvious parody, and they went out and found this guy and found all his old Reddit posts simply so they could dox him, and that was just bullshit. So that's when I first registered as a user on the Reddit forum, the Donald, and started posting some memes and things like that. And so my support has evolved since then. And the thing that put me over the top is when I got called up on stage and I realized, well, what do I do now? What do I do now? Do I just go home and just go back to making memes? And now I've become a walking meme. I call this memeing in real life. I can go out in a physical space, and I can't be censored by Twitter, and I can't be censored by Reddit, and I can't be censored by YouTube, and I can't be censored by Facebook, because I'm just a walking manifestation of a meme that you would see on your computer. And that's what I do now when I have the time to do it.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Appreciate your time.
All right.
It's good.
I mean, the last thing I like to say is that one thing we cannot do, we cannot become complacent. I don't want anybody, I can't tell you how much I cringe when I see Trump 2020 landslide. Forget it. We got to get out and fight. like our lives depend on, which they do, and the lives of our children, and the lives of, and our entire country. We can't sit on our butt and say we got this in the bag. We got to organize. We got to get out there. You got to, we have to do it. We have to do it.
Absolutely.
And
based on what you've seen, are you feeling pretty good about President Trump's chances of re-election?
I am, and I would say the X factor is the degree and extent of Democrat cheating. We don't know how many boxes from Broward County will be found scattered throughout the country in rental cars, that's the real thing. I don't know.
Right.
I don't think they can beat us in a fair election. That's my impression now. And as long as we stay out of wars, and there isn't a collapse of the economy that's caused by our president, if something happens outside the control and the economy takes a tumble and it won't be assigned to him, that's different.
Right, like that coronavirus.
Like the coronavirus, exactly.
A little bit.
Right. So if that causes a
probably
dip,
try and blame President Trump for it.
Well, of course it'll be his fault for not curing it. Right. So. Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm saying. That could cause a slight economic downturn or put a damper on our current growth, but that's outside their control.
Right.
So barring those type of things, I don't see a way. I'm very optimistic. Very optimistic.
Awesome.
But the key is, how like in a horror movie, when the hero kills the villain at the end of the movie,
yes.
Right, the monster always gets back up because the hero forgets to finish him off with the double tap. All right. This is where we're at right now. We've knocked the monster down. We need to finish it off. We need to come out strong and make sure it's game over for Democrats.
Absolutely.
And when we win in 2020, if we get back to House and we keep the Senate by a margin large enough to discount Murkowski and other rhinos like Romney, then we're in a solid position to set this country on the course it needs to be for the next 40, 50 years.
Absolutely. Well said. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take
nice
care.
Meeting.